Shanghai was once the epitome of China's economic and consumer boom. From the modern skyscrapers of Lujiazui to the lavish stores of Huaihai Road and Xintiandi, this place forms a golden belt that the world cannot take its eyes off. In recent developments, Shanghai, long regarded as the beacon of China's economic growth, has witnessed an unforeseen economic slowdown. Notably, even its renowned commercial hubs are reporting subdued activity, signaling broader economic concerns. Here's a mind-blowing statistic. In 2022, the average disposable income of Shanghai residents rose by a meager 2%, a stark contrast to last year's 8%. Not only did this figure fail to outpace local GDP growth, but individual consumption also fell by 5.8%. From Hongqiao Station to the pedestrian Nanjing Road and Shanghai Railway Station, these various commercial centers are all struggling. Whether large corporations or small businesses, the enthusiasm has fizzled out. On Nanjing Road, even the central plaza is a ghost town. The escalators stand still, as if even the electricity bill has become a burden. Once popular shops like Meters Bonui are now only a skeleton of themselves. Drooping wires and exposed frames are an eyesore, like a garish plaster on the facade. This hardship can also be felt in the underground passages near the Shanghai Railway Station. Behind every rolled-down steel door is the story of a struggling small business owner. According to videos making the rounds on social media, the once bustling food court of a Shanghai shopping mall has become eerily quiet. Numerous vendors have packed their bags and left, leaving empty spaces that have not been taken up to date. In Shanghai, the chances of selling shop premises are practically zero, and office space is undoubtedly 100% unsellable. So why is this happening? A massive withdrawal of foreign companies and the closure of export-oriented small businesses are the main causes. Even the wealthy entrepreneurs in Shanghai cannot escape the current economic storm. Take the founder of an advertising agency, for example. Although he lives in a luxurious 300 square meter house and sends his children to private schools, the company is under severe financial strain and has seen its business volume drop by over 70%. This has forced them to make redundancies and downsize their high-end office space. So what is the main cause? It is the dramatic decline in export business. Since the beginning of the year, most export companies have faced a sharp decline in business, which has also affected their smaller business partners, like the advertising agency mentioned above. Many small and medium-sized enterprises have been blindsided by a series of complex challenges, such as the devaluation of the yuan, foreign trade difficulties, US-China trade tensions, and global supply chain dislocations. All this has led to numerous company shutdowns. The wave of layoffs and salary cuts has not only hit the advertising industry, but also the tech sector. Many highly paid executives find it difficult to find a suitable job after being made redundant and have to settle for lower paid positions. Even large foreign companies are cautious when it comes to investing in China. The example of Volkswagen Shanghai shows that a US ban on chips has brought production of certain car models to a halt. In this climate, many foreign workers have decided to leave Shanghai and return to their home countries. Chinese workers of foreign companies in Shanghai have also felt the pressure. Shanghai Volkswagen, for example, recently laid off a large number of workers, and annual salaries above 100,000 yuan, or around 13.7 thousand US dollars, have become a rarity. University graduates in Shanghai are now under enormous pressure to find a job. Gone are the days when entry-level positions offered salaries of over 7,000 yuan, or 960 US dollars a month. Today, most start at just 4 to 5,000 yuan, around 6 to 700 US dollars. This not only affects immediate earnings, but also long-term life planning, such as having children or buying a house. On July 1st of this year, the Social Security contribution rate in Shanghai was increased, further reducing the net income of young white-collar workers. Faced with this grim reality, many have chosen to forgo health insurance and manage the vagaries of life in a riskier but more autonomous way. Minor health problems are self-diagnosed and treated. Serious illnesses are left to fate. This reflects the change in values of the younger generation, who prefer their immediate happiness to long-term security. But this pressure isn't just a phenomenon of youth. Ordinary workers in Shanghai have also suffered severe income losses. In Pudong District, for example, job opportunities at Taiwanese companies such as ASUS and Pegatron have dropped drastically this summer, with hourly wages falling from 35 yuan to 25 yuan, around $3.50, a drop of almost 30%. In the face of shrinking incomes, it has become increasingly difficult to earn extra money on the investment market. In 2022, the stock market performed poorly and market volatility skyrocketed. Even more alarming, equity funds had an average loss rate of 20%, the lowest in almost 4 years. If you haven't lost any money this year in stock and fund investments, the general feeling is that you're already doing better than 70% of investors. In view of these market uncertainties, many Shanghai people are withdrawing from volatile investment channels and opting for more stable financial strategies such as saving or repaying loans early. This trend is also reflected in everyday consumption habits. The desire to buy houses and cars has decreased significantly. According to statistics, per capita consumer spending in Shanghai fell to 46,000 yuan, around $6,300 in 2022, a year-on-year decline of 5.8%. As a result, Shanghai has lost its title as China's #1 consumption city, and is now surpassed by Hangzhou. However, the figures only scratch the surface of a much larger social phenomenon. When it comes to everyday spending cuts, delivery drivers have a front-row seat. Orders are getting cheaper. Office workers opt for meals that cost only a dozen or so yuan. After 10 p.m., orders stop completely. The otherwise busy streets of Xujiahui are now eerily quiet. People have become smarter. They save instead of spending money. Many people try to dispose of their assets and find that the process is extraordinarily difficult. High-value properties and even those described as sub-luxury have become increasingly illiquid. This not only hinders the flow of money, but also makes it difficult for residents to turn their assets into cash. Luxury flats originally listed for 800 to 900 million yuan could not be sold, even at a price of 280 million yuan at legal auctions. Properties called semi-luxury flats, which cost between 10 to 50 million yuan, are almost illiquid. Even the basic properties, worth less than 10 million yuan, are affected by the same liquidity crisis. This explains why more and more people are clutching their wallets and opting to save. Large sums of money are virtually frozen. To boost short-term consumption, the Chinese Communist Party leadership in Shanghai has implemented a variety of subsidies and discounts. Overall consumer confidence, though, remains low. Shanghai has one of the highest average savings rates in China, at 210,000 yuan, around $29,000 per person, trailing only Beijing and greatly above the averages in Zhejiang, Jiangsu, and Guangdong provinces. As a result, the main reason for Shanghai citizens' low consumption is not a lack of financial means, but a deep-seated fear of the future. The scariest part is the general sense of confusion. Nobody seems to know what to do next, complains the owner of a wholesale auto parts company. We used to believe that things would gradually improve in this country, but that is clearly no longer the case. His company's revenue plummeted by 15% in the first half of 2023 compared to the same period last year, and 2/3 of its employees were laid off. Meanwhile, car owners are putting auto repair firms out of business by holding off on minor repairs. Now, the auto parts dealer himself has reduced his eating out and socializing with pals. Since he was short on cash, he even sought to sell a flat he acquired as an investment in 2020. Despite lowering the price from 3.3 million to 2.9 million yuan, it remains a no-go. Amid commercial difficulties and personal wealth erosion, Shanghai residents are most concerned about the government's failure to deliver meaningful solutions. The general consensus is that things may go much worse. Overall, optimism in the economy and the country's future has reached an all-time low. The administration has implemented a slew of policies and slogans geared at increasing spending and stabilizing financial markets. These moves, however, have not been well received. Many people believe that the CCP lacks sincerity and has never prioritized consumer prosperity. Instead, while discussing economic progress, the emphasis has always been on increasing investments. The reality is that investment routes are pretty saturated currently, and it wasn't until recently the government has shifted its attention to increasing consumption. Nonetheless, the Chinese government regards consumerism as a means to an economic aim rather than an end in itself. As a result, when the public demands that billions of yuan be provided for supporting consumer expenditure, the government's answer appears hesitant. In terms of capital markets, the CCP's strategy creates questions. Ideally, the stock market should provide a venue for the general public to participate in the benefits of economic progress through investing. However, the party has long viewed it as a direct financial route, frequently disregarding the interests of the regular investor. This bias not only encourages speculative behavior, but it also undermines long-term investor trust. As a result, even when the government issues statements intended to bolster market confidence, most investors remain skeptical. Whether it's consumer spending or financial markets, the primary goal should be to ensure that the public has enough resources and confidence to participate, resulting in a healthy, sustainable economic cycle. Economic development should not be about chasing growth or raising government revenue. Its fundamental goal should be to increase people's quality of life and economic well-being. Only then will the government be able to demonstrate its actual intentions, effectively stimulating both consumption and investment.